Thank you so much, Mr. Balakrishnan Shankar, Dean of the School of Engineering, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, and Mr. Ram Ganapathi, who's the CMO of Amrita Hospital, Faridabad, for joining us. The subject matter that we are discussing today is advancing India's engineering and medical prowess. I want to start with you, Mr. Balakrishnan, and let me start by asking you, some of the hot topics on discussion are IoT, AI, machine learning, robotics, cloud computing, big data. How is this really impacting on the entire startup creation here in India? Can you explain to us, because, we see all this talk about unicorns, startups, so on and so forth. How do you, sitting as the dean of this engineering department, look at all of this impacting upon our education and also in terms of opportunities here in India?
Thank you. So thank you for inviting us over here to give us this opportunity. That's a very important question. And AI and, big data, cloud computing, and especially AI has, what shall I say, invaded practically in every field that we know, whether it is in health, in automation, in technologies, in materials, and everything that we know. So definitely that has changed the startup scene. So India has several startups, like Qtrim, like fintech, like Cure AI, etc. But then at the same time, the fact that AI tools and technologies are now available for students. We have a variety of programs like we have in computer science and AI, we have a new program, robotics and AI, several programs that we offer. That skill set has greatly enabled the startup scene. We have students coming up now, even in first year and second year, with ideas to start new companies. And so that has really changed the scene. And I think that as the years go by, we are going to see a lot of new startups in India in different domains, right from, for example, I had a first-year student who came to me with an idea to start a company using AI to generate new food recipes, to mix recipes from North India and South India and other countries and to make new food recipes. I have had students come and start AI and health companies to develop AI for predictive analytical health. And we have programs and research centers that do the same thing. So definitely, to answer your question, it's coming in a big way, and you're going to see a lot of startups in India coming from the AI sector.
But can AI ensure that the food tastes good if you're mixing North and South? That's a big question.
Pardon me?
I said, can AI ensure that the food tastes good if you're mixing North and South?
Actually, you'll be surprised, yes, because there's a lot of data behind that. There's a lot of data and survey that goes in behind that, and let's hope so. He has not yet gone public, but let us hope so, yes.
Right. If I can come across to Mr. Ram Ganapathi, take us through the steps that you're taking to ensure healthcare education and also in terms of empowering future Indian professionals in the healthcare industry is concerned. What are the efforts that are being taken?
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So Amrita Hospitals, the one that's here in Faridabad, that's been in operation for the past a year and a half, and the one that's in Kochi, Kerala, that's been in operation for more than 25 years, have always been focused on innovation. And because we have educational institutions associated with the hospitals, we also can facilitate cross-departmental research on an ongoing basis, right? Let me give you an example, Madhav. So during COVID, if you can remember, it was very difficult to access good quality masks. The best mask that was effective was supposedly the N95 that was available only in the US, and it was very expensive. So our nanotechnology department worked together with the clinical department of the hospital to develop a mask that was significantly more effective than the N95 at a very, very reduced cost. So this is the hallmark of our research projects that we do at Amrita, where the net result is going to be beneficial for the society, but at very economical levels. Now, having said that, with respect to the doctors on an ongoing basis, we always have what is known as the CME, a continuing medical education conferences, where they participate in to keep abreast of what's happening in their fields, where international faculty are invited to share their experience and knowledge, and that's one way to do, they keep innovating in their field as well. As far as students are concerned, we give them a well-rounded education that is value-based so that they can become good clinicians. Now, what is value-based education? Just like Amma, my guru Sri Mata Amritanandamayi Devi says, there are two educations in life. One is education for a living, and the other one is education for life. The first one is when you get a degree certificate, you get a job, that's your education for living. But what is education for life? Where you are taught values, things like compassion, which you can then use to become a better citizen in the society, right? So this is what we do as part of our overall innovation and curriculum and innovation and foster that as both for our faculty and for the students.
Right. One of the questions, or one of the things that's spoken about a lot is skill development. Of course, the Indian education system, there's many things that many would say, A-late, there are many scopes or areas of improvement. But, the skill development is one area where you look at how the requirements are there in a society, in a particular given economy, and then you train the students according to those requirements. How do you see this actually panning out or even picking up in coming years, and how far have we actually achieved in this particular department, would you say?
Okay. Skill development is something huge. And to go beyond the curriculum, it is no longer enough to, sit in a classroom, learn from a textbook, and pass the exam. Okay? You need to have skills. So the kind of skills that an engineer needed 10 years ago, you could predict it. But now in this rapidly changing landscape, it's much more difficult to predict what kind of skills a person really needs. But with disruptive technologies like in AI, robotics, IoT, cloud computing, big data, coding, these are the skills that are going to be needed. And this skill development is what we focus on in Amrita. So what we do is we have project-based courses. We have flipped classrooms. Classrooms where students tackle real-life problems. That helps in the skill development. For example, a mechanical engineering student who has AI skills will be hugely employable because what he's going to be able to do is translate his expertise in a huge variety of tasks. So in this context, when you talk about skill development, there are two types. One is technical skills. The other is soft skills. So both are very important. So in Amrita, we have something called Live-in Labs. It is a humongously popular program which recently started with Amma's Vision. We've adopted around 100 villages across the country. Our students actually, they take this as an elective. They go to the village and they identify what is the main problem in that village and come back and work on a cost-effective solution for that. So I've had students who have actually, there was a village in North Kerala which didn't have any electricity from time immemorial. Our students went there, set up solar microgrid. Now that village has electricity, those kids in that village now can study at home, things like that. So that is one kind of skill development. The other thing that this does is it shows the students ground reality. It helps them in compassion. It helps them in having a holistic vision towards society. So that's the other kind of skills that we need. But yes, skill development is huge. And what I would say fundamental skills now, like mathematics, okay, are more important than ever before because of AI, because of the coding required, because of simulation. I would say these are the skills that we need. Disruptive technologies, I would say AI, simulation, some amount of robotics, IoT, these are the skills that you require in the technical area. Yes.
Mr. Ganapathi, you spoke about, of course, the spiritual side of things and values, but we're also talking about a situation where there is much talk about Industry 4.0. How do you prepare students for future unforeseen situations, for instance, is something that is spoken about a lot. Can you take us through your own experience?
Sure. It's probably going to be a continuation to what Dr. Bala said. You need the doctors and the medical students to be aware of the technological innovations that are happening and the need to be in a position where they need to use them. So let me take AI as an example, right? We have started a program where we are giving training to the doctors at Amrita Hospital and the students on AI and medicine, right? Where they need to be aware of what is happening in the technological side. If I can take an example, right? Let's say I'm a patient that I'm going to see a doctor, right? And I know about ChatGPT, right? So I'm at home, I know what my symptoms are, I look up what the potential diagnosis needs to be, and I go to the doctor and I tell the doctor what my symptoms are, and then I tell the doctor what his or her diagnosis should be to me because of what I looked up. So we don't want the doctor to be in a situation where they are flummoxed by the what is happening. So they need to be aware of where the patient is coming up with such knowledge.
I think you're giving a lot of people a lot of ideas right now.
Please don't do that. Let the doctors do their work. But they need to be aware of that. So we are training them, right? The second one is, again, Dr. Bala talked about simulation. At Amrita Hospital, Faridabad, we have a very large simulator set up for students, right? Why do we have that? When you have 100, 150 students in a class, it becomes rather difficult for them to access resources where they can do hands-on training because we may not have cadavers available to us to serve all the students. So then they are able to use the simulator, very similar to pilots using flight simulators to learn how to fly. They use the simulator, work on dummies, and get the hands-on experience that they need for pursuing their education. In addition to that, we are in the process of setting up a 3D printing facility where we can print the scanned organ of a patient in a 3D model, and the doctor sees that and then makes a decision on how to operate if a surgery is needed and make it much more precise because they are able to see a 360-degree view of the organ that is in question. So this is how we expose our students and ensure that our faculty are up to speed with technological innovations.
Right. Dr. Balakrishnan, there's also, you deal with the subject of engineering, and therefore there is this question that is often asked. We need engineers at one basic level to build our country, to build our economy, whether it's railroads, whether it is construction, whether it's electronics, so on and so forth. There are, of course, multifarious areas where the basic role of engineers are there, but there's also the perspective of what technology does and how that impacts on A, the way in which the engineers function, and B, the opportunities that are open for them as well. How do you see this playing out? Because there's a lot of talk about engineers, of course, studying here in India, going abroad. There's all sorts of arguments back and forth regarding that. How do you look at this problem?
Okay. The way to go is to go interdisciplinary. Previously, when people came to engineering, they thought of themselves in silos. I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm a chemical engineer, I'm a electronics engineer, I'm a computer scientist. That is no longer going to work. What is going forward, you have a lot of overlap. I'll give you an example. For example, when nature provides you a problem, it's not going to tell you it's a problem. It's not going to tell you if it's a mechanical engineering problem or an electrical engineering problem. Simple. The flow of blood through the blood vessels, right? It's the flow of a liquid through a pipe. So it's a mechanical engineering problem, okay? It's controlled by electrical impulses that are coming from the brain. So you have an electrical problem there. You have a neural network problem there. It's finally again controlled by the pulses of your heart, which is an electronics problem, which is so you have all these disciplines, and of course it's a health problem. So now you tell me, so if a particular engineer wants to make himself relevant to the problems of society, what he should do is think interdisciplinary. Gone are the days when you can say, I am in this, and that is not my field. That's not possible anymore. So the divisions between departments or disciplines are kind of crumbling. So especially, again, with AI and with, big data and the large language models and the other models that are coming up, which can be applied across disciplines, this divisions between departments are crumbling. So what an engineer needs to do is think interdisciplinary. He needs to create develop skills that like in AI, in robotics, in IoT, in big data, in mathematics, in simulation, so that he can do predictive analytics. He can do prediction. He can predict a new material, for example, or predict the new progress of a disease, or predict a new progress of a problem. So actually, so for example, I have engineering students who are working with doctors in AIIMS on engineering solutions to medical problems, whether it's designing a new MRI machine or doing image processing of neonatal conditions. They do image processing and big data taken from babies, and they predict what the future health conditions would be for those kids, neonatal processing. So what happens is that AI and health, AI and engineering and health, they've all started talking together. Now we are looking at, in Amrita, we are developing wearable sensors, for example, that reads your body parameters and transmits the signal to the doctor. So you could be a farmer working in a field, and you could be having a heart attack, and then the ECG is transmitted to the doctor. So how to do all this, and the most important thing in the Indian context is how to keep it low cost. And that is something which India has a tremendous advantage. See, recently, Chandrayaan that went to the moon. The movie made on Chandrayaan cost more than the actual Chandrayaan itself. So we are making now in India, there is a humongous possibility for cost-effective sensors, for cost-effective solutions in different areas. And that is where we have to think. So the engineers should look at expanding their skills, horizontally and vertically, and not in silos. So that is very important, and that is what I think the new education should seek to do.
Right. Mr. Ram Ganapathi, recently, some of your doctors have also, entered the coveted list in Stanford University of being in the top 2%. Now, that's, of course, global acclaim. Are there lessons to be learned here for other medical facilities as well in terms of actually, making a name, not just here in India, but also globally?
Yeah, so across the 8 different campuses that Amrita has in the country, there are more than 20 faculty members who are part of this esteemed list. And 3 of them happen to be here at Amrita Hospital in Faridabad. One of the reasons that they are here is because as part of the recruitment process itself, when we look at doctors to hire, we just don't look at the, obviously we look at the proficiency, the training, the educational qualifications, the experience, etc. But to have a good cultural fit with the organization, we look for something a little bit more. And that is an intent to give and serve with compassion, provide compassionate care, if you will, right? So we look for that. And we encourage these doctors. Obviously, they're from very esteemed institutions across the country and even from abroad. We have doctors who are part of our faculty right now who have come back from the US, from the UK, from Australia. So that's a good thing for us as in India, where we are getting these trained doctors coming back home, if you will. And they are encouraged to provide and mentor to the young students their experience, both from a practical perspective and also from a scientific perspective, from a research perspective. Because the intent is to create a future where their experience can then be carried forward by the younger generation who is coming on board. So that's what we look for. And hopefully, it can be a standard template for everybody else to follow if they want to create education institutions where you create people who can come out of it and be of value to the society through their contributions, through their research, and what they provide.
And you're also the largest private medical facility, I believe, in the country at Faridabad.
That is correct. So Amrita Hospital...
It's not just quantity, it's also the quality that you have to maintain.
That is correct, yes. The Amrita Hospital Faridabad is the largest private multi-specialty hospital in the country, also going to be in Asia. It's a 2,600 bed facility, so if you get a chance, the audience, you should come to and see the hospital. I know it's always a bad thing to say that come to see a hospital, but in this case, you should come and see the hospital. It doesn't feel like a hospital, so you should come and see for yourself.
All right, Dr. Balakrishnan, last question to you. There's been a lot of debate around NEP itself. In your subject area, what is the impact that you've seen of the national education policy?
Okay. There are several wonderful features about NEP. And the interdisciplinary aspect, which they are emphasizing. The fact that a student can go from one discipline to another, carry an academic bank of credit and move around disciplines. I think that's very important. And I think that's a wonderful feature. So in Amrita, as early as 2019, we started these interdisciplinary programs. We have, for example, CSE and AI. Then we followed it up with robotics and AI. Now we have a new school of AI and data science. So we have a structure where a student can take electives across departments and they can move between, sometimes between one school and another and increase their employability humongously and their research potential humongously. So, and then we also introduced a system called minors. So the person, so in NEP, that is another very important thing in NEP. A person can, even if you're in one department, you can take a set number of credits in another department and get a minor degree in the other field. I could be in mechanical, but I could get a minor degree in electronics or in AI or AI and DS and things like that, with specializations and minors. So that is a very, very good thing. And the capacity, the ability to study across disciplines and take different credits from different departments and to have a path that is not necessarily just stuck in one silo, that's a very important feature of NEP. Not only for NEP, but it's also very important for research. So since I am from Amrita, I have to tell you a little bit about research. We're very strong in research. In fact, our trademark is compassion-based research under Amma's guidance. We want to find cost-effective solutions for the common man's problems. So whenever we do that, we find that we require expertise from different skills. So for example, from skill sets. For example, we need medical and engineering together to form a solution in healthcare. For a new material that can be used in the human body, you need a material science, you need sometimes a chemical engineer, you need physics, you need chemistry, you need medicine, etc. So in this matter, NEP is very helpful because what happens is a student will get different skill sets. And so the university curriculum should be structured such a way freedom is given, flexibility is given. So that is what we are trying to do. And that is very important in the way forward. And that is going to have a huge impact on education. And that is going to have a huge impact on employability. And that is going to have a huge impact on research. And India has to. You won't believe, you may not believe this, but in Amrita, there are several hundred papers that come out from undergrad students, research papers every year, because we involve students in project and research right from the very beginning. So what happens is NEP becomes a big factor there because they can take courses and skills in different disciplines. So you are widening their horizons in a big way. So I think that's the answer to your question. Yes, it has a big impact. It's useful.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Dr. Balakrishnan, Mr. Ram, thank you so much for joining us on this session. Thank you.